Hello and welcome to the Vinyl Sanctuary. My name is Christian and I hope that you will join me in taking refuge in records. So I'm here today with another vinyl hunt video. So I'm going back in time a little bit now. So I'm currently recording here in November 2025, but I actually went on a trip to Yorkshire back in September with my wife Michelle, and we had an amazing week over in Yorkshire, and we spent a bit of time in a few places in that glorious county beginning with the letter H. It just seemed to work out that way. So we had a week in Haworth, and we stayed on Main Street in Haworth. I'll be talking quite a bit more about that area in a little while. Beautiful place, by the way, for anybody who's never visited. We then had a day out in Hebden Bridge, and then we finished the holiday off by having a couple of days over in Harrogate. So I did manage to pick up some records while I was on holiday, 6 in total. So they were purchased in Haworth and Hebden Bridge. I did go to an amazing antique centre over in Saltaire as well. That was another place that we actually went to for a day out. So no letter H at the beginning of that title, but beautiful place. I'd never been there before. But it was one of them where I turned up, and whilst it had an absolute, an incredible abundance of stock, all kinds of different albums, there was just nothing there for me on that day. It was stuff that I either already owned or stuff that I just wouldn't actively collect. But I'm really happy with the 6 that I did pick up. So yeah, Haworth, I did all the touristy stuff as well. You've got to do that while you're there. I hadn't been in 35 years, so I worked out that the last time I went over there to those famous cobbled streets, it was back when I was about 8 years old. So yeah, stayed on Main Street, down at the bottom of the huge hill that you've got to climb up to get to all the shops and restaurants and things like that. So the legs got a good old workout over that week. And the two shops that I went into to purchase my goodies from Haworth, 4 of the 6 were from Haworth, were located on that street as well. So yeah, went over to the Bronte parsonage. Of course, you've got to do that. It's the home of the Bronte sisters. It's Haworth. 3 of the greatest writers that this nation's ever produced in Charlotte, Emily, and Anne Bronte. And just for interest, in case anybody is into their literature, Wuthering Heights is my all-time favourite book. So I was in I was feeling the spirit of Cathy and Heathcliff and all those incredible characters while I was over there. Even went on a big old walk to Top Withens as well, and managed to get almost there before the weather changed, and then we had to turn back. So yeah, got a little bit drenched that day, but it was just a brilliant holiday, and found everybody there to be extremely friendly, very pleasant. So if anybody's thinking about taking a trip to Haworth, then I highly recommend it. So that's my kind of tourist board information piece done. That's my capsule review of the holiday back in September. But we'll get back. We'll get into now the important work at hand, which is to look at these lovely new acquisitions to my record collection. Okay, so I feel like I've mentioned Jack quite a few times of late at the time of recording, but credit where it's due. I do need to give Jack a shout out here again, because the artist that I'm about to show, the band, the first 2 records are by the same group. They were a group that I had never heard of until I saw Jack talking about them on his channel. So one of the albums is one that he's definitely talked about. And then the other album, I don't think he has talked about it. Might be mistaken. Apologies, Jack, if that isn't the case, but I'm sure you can correct me in the comments. So coming up first then is a brilliant slice of psychedelic rock from the early 1990s. So this is as I said, the artist here, 2 albums to show. And the group is Sundial. So I was a little bit thrown, first of all, when I saw the front cover for this record, because the artwork on the version that Jack showed on his channel was completely different. And I have to say that the artwork on Jack's pressing, which I think is an earlier one, an original even, his is an original, this is a repress, is much better than this version that I'm holding up here. It sounds great. I've played it through, and there's no issues with the sound quality, but it's just a bit of a shame that I did not find an original pressing of this record. while I was out on my travels in Yorkshire. So the name of the album is Other Way Out. There we go. And this one here, along with the other Sundial album I'll be showing shortly, and then a third album, were all purchased from a brilliant, brilliant shop called Never Mind the Brontës. And I'll be talking a little bit more about the owner and the shop as a whole once I've shown the records off. So let's get into looking at Sundial. So yeah, as I mentioned, it is psychedelic. So for anyone who's a fan of sort of scuzzy, fuzzy, almost quite blissed out, euphoric, in places euphoric, but also quite kind of downbeat in places as well from an energetic point of view. Not so much kind of mood. It's not somber or anything, but there's like almost kind of ebbs and flows to it. There were parts of the record where I felt quite sort of uplifted listening to it with some of the musical passages, and then there was some areas where I think, certainly intentionally from a dynamic and tempo point of view, the sort of the rhythm of everything was slowed right down. So very atmospheric. Quite a lot of instrumental passages in places before vocals kind of come in and out. And I was feeling quite a lot of Syd Barrett in places. For anybody who's obviously a fan of Syd Barrett, they may get a lot to enjoy out of this one. But then there were other parts of it where I was listening to it, and a lot of early noughties bands came to mind. The likes of Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, who I'm a huge fan of. I wouldn't be at all surprised if maybe they were taking some cues from this album, because there was a lot of psychedelic influences in the music of the Black Rebels, certainly the earlier stuff, along with drone rock and garage rock and stuff like that. So yeah, this was a really enjoyable listen. So I'll just give you a chance there to look at that artwork in a bit more detail. I think this may be the main songwriter here in the middle. I think his name is Gary Ramon or Ramon. I think. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing his name. Yeah, Gary Ramon maybe, or Ramon. It doesn't have the E on the end like the Ramones, so it might be Ramon or Ramon. I've heard it pronounced both ways when it's been spelt that way. So there's the front cover, and then there's the back as well. And then I'll just mention a couple of favourite tracks. So it is a gatefold, this one. So for anybody interested in seeing the gatefold, you can see that there. So you can already tell from the artwork, that it's pretty psychedelic. Another group that came to mind when I was listening to it were a group called Loop, who I'm a big fan of as well. They're an excellent band, Loop. I think they're a little bit more kind of drone rocky than the sort of stuff that I was listening to on this particular album. But Sundial here are a new discovery for me, and as I mentioned, I do definitely have Jack at the Vinyl Voice to thank for piquing my interest, because when he was speaking about this record, the way in which he described the instrumentation, the musicality, the way it sounded, just kind of the overall vibe of it, then I made mental note of it. So as you can imagine, when I saw it there in Never Mind the Brontës, I was really, really pleased to see that. So it's on the UFO label there. See if there's anything of interest there to show in terms of the label. It's got quite a cool label to it actually as well, which I'll show. But yeah, it's a repress, this one, so it could be quite interesting for maybe people who do know about Sundial, but have perhaps got that original pressing and maybe have not seen this particular version of it. But yeah, it sounds good. I've played it through a couple of times. Very, very enjoyable. One that I do feel when I'm in the right mood for will definitely put me in a really comfortable and quite a calming space. So side one for me was where it was at. It's good all the way through. There's only 6 tracks on it in total, which gives you a bit of an idea of the length of some of the songs and the kind of the way in which it sort of flows in and out of I suppose themes and consciousness and things like that when you sort of drifted along to it. But that side one is superb. Plains of Nazca is a great opener, and you can't get a more psychedelic sounding song title, can you, than Exploding in Your Mind. That sort of calls to mind a lot of those classic 60s psych groups, doesn't it, with a title like that. But it sounded great, that one. Some really cool kind of organ work on it in places, and lots of quite exotic instrumentation alongside your standard drums, guitar and bass. And Gary Ramon's vocals throughout were really enjoyable as well. And then World Without Time on side 2, I would say. I really enjoyed. So they'd be like my sort of three, sorry, excuse me, beg your pardon, three favourite tracks on the record. Plays an Asco Exploding in Your Mind and World Without Time, but yeah, very solid all the way through. So I was really pleased to pick that one up. Excuse me, sorry about that there. A little cough there. At that time of year here, unfortunately, in the northwest of England, it's got quite cold, quite nippy. So it's a little bit chilly here today, which is why I've got my trusty hoodie on as well to try and keep warm. So yeah, as you can imagine, I was going through the racks at Never Mind the Brontës, and I was talking to the owner Milo at the same time as well. But I'll get back to Milo in a little while because he was an absolute gentleman, a lovely guy. And I was talking to him about Sundial, mentioned that I'd heard about them, through YouTube, etc. So I kept leafing through, and then I found this one then as well, Reflector by Sundial. So this one has got a very different feel to it than Other Way Out. So this one, I'll double check what year it came out. So I bought this one purely on a punt because obviously I'd not had any exposure to this one at all, but because of the way I felt about hearing Other Way Out being described on the Vinyl Voyage, and then knowing that I'm into my psych and stuff, I just thought while it was here in the shop alongside it, then why not get the two at the same time? I had a little bit of spending money, although I had to be careful not to spend it all too quickly in one shop. So you might be pleased to know that I did manage to spread out my funds a little bit. And these were all at great prices as well, the records I'm showing today. They were all, I would say, really affordable, and I got lucky basically on picking some really nice stuff up. So this version here that I've got of Reflector, there's the label. It does actually have a bonus 7-inch with it. There we go. Hopefully you can see that there with the ring light not getting in the way. So Let It Go Live. There, recorded at the venue, and that was back in 1991. So yeah, we're very much in the early 90s with Sundial here. So that's the label, and then we've got there the cover art. That does look like Gary Ramon there again on the front cover. There we go, Reflector, and then there's the back cover there as well, and that's on UFO Records as well. So that is from 1992, that one. So yeah, I think this first one here, I think it might have been, was it 1990 or 91? I'll double check. I mean, as I said, this is definitely a repress, this one. Yeah, it says 1990 in there for that one. So that's 1990, and then Reflector is 1992. So at the moment, I'm kind of deciding in my mind which one of these Sundial albums I actually prefer, because this is a very different listen. So this one to me is not as psychedelic as All the Way Out. The first track, for instance, which I'll remind myself of the name of in a moment when I put everything away. The first track, which is the title track, Reflector, you should have remembered that. It sounds a lot like Nirvana. When I played it, I was just quite pleasantly surprised, because I'm a big Nirvana fan, just how much like Nirvana it sounded, even down to Gary Ramon's vocals, assuming that it is Gary who sings on that one. His voice sounded completely different on that track compared to how it had sounded on Other Way Out. I mean, it really could have just been something off a grunge album. But the one for me that I keep coming back to on this album, and it's the one that I really want to give a big shout out to today, although please do check out the album in full, is this track here, track number 2, Easy For You. I cannot stop listening to that one. I keep coming back to it, probably more so now than some of the tracks on Other Way Out, although Nazca Playing and Exploding In Your Mind have been constant since getting them home. Easy For You has just got such a beautiful jangly guitar intro riff to it. It's that type of playing. It's very simple but very effective, and it's my kind of guitar playing. It is the kind of thing that I do naturally gravitate to when I hear songs with that type of a tempo or that kind of melodicism at play. I'm just totally there for it, and it's got some lovely harmonies in the background on there. Backing vocals are on here by Chris Daly, who also plays guitar as well. Ramon's lead vocal on Easy For You sounds great, and it's just got this really cool shuffling kind of percussive element to it, and some really great bass playing as well. So the rhythm section here is Nigel Carpenter And I do hope I'm pronouncing this gentleman's name correctly. The drummer, it is John Pelech, or Pelech, I think that might be, Pelech. So there's just a really nice feel to Easy For You. There's a gorgeous instrumental on here as well called Tremolo, which kicks off side 2. That's a really kind of woozy, hazy, kind of a trippy vibe to that one. And Sunstroke is fantastic on there as well. So if you're looking for more like of a grungier, slacker kind of alternative rock sort of an album, then please do go for Reflector. So I do think people who are into the likes of Nirvana, Dinosaur Jr., just that early 90s grunge sound, definitely go for that one. But then if you're into your psych, your more classic sort of 60s influence stuff, then please do go for All the Way Out. But I'm really, really pleased to have both of those Sundial albums in my collection now. So I've given myself a starting point to hopefully keep collecting their work. I'm not sure how many albums Sundial have done, but I'm certainly going to remain on the lookout for future acquisitions. Okay, so there's just one more record to show you from Never Mind the Brontës. Then we'll be halfway through the list for today, and then I'll just speak a little bit about the shop, just because Milo, as I said, the owner, was such a great guy, and I do want to give him a shout out. Plus I've got a little extra something to show as well. Okay, so this third and final purchase then from Milo. This is a record that I know incredibly well. I had it on CD back in the day. I love this band, love this album. This is a group who I've talked about quite a lot on the channel now, and just had this incredible progression with their evolution musically in the earlier stages of their career. Just released 3 unbelievably good albums within almost like the space of a year or so. Just the growth of them was incredible, and then they continue to experiment and do great things throughout the rest of their history, really. So coming up next, got a brilliant sort of art pop, synth driven album here from Wire, and the album is A Bell is a Cup Until It Is Struck. So there we go. So you get part of the title there on the front with this very interesting imagery here, and then you get the rest of the title there on the back. So yeah, what is it to say about this? So yeah, Wire are just a brilliant group, very unique, a band that have given me a lot of listening pleasure over the years. I did have the privilege or the pleasure of watching them once live. Went with a very good friend of mine, Martin, one of my best mates. He might be tuning in. If you're tuning in, Martin, hope all's well with you. Went and saw them over in Manchester. It was really good fun, good memorable night, and they were very loud as well. Didn't play an awful lot of stuff that I knew, but they were because it seemed to be more of the more recent stuff. Wasn't so many of that kind of classic period, the likes of Pink Flag and Chairs Missing and 154. I'm trying to remember actually if they played anything off this album. I'm not sure if they did. They might have done. It was a long time ago now, and my memory's not what it was. But I have watched Wire once before. So yeah, this is a lovely copy here. It's an original pressing on the Mute label, Daniel Miller's label. There we go. So that's just in its own white sleeve, but it has got the original. It's got the original in there with the lyrics and everything as well. And this is one of these albums. There's another album coming up that I would put in this category, not from a musical point of view, but from a consistency point of view. In fact, it's the album, the next album I'm going to show. It's one of these that I just love every track on it. It's just really consistent, very strong throughout. There's nothing that plays through on this album or the one that I'm showing next where I'm thinking, yeah, just not really feeling that one, or it's kind of there and then it's not. These are all really strong songs, and I just love the sequencing of it as well. So yeah, this is very different to sort of the more raw and angular sound of Wire in the early days. This is definitely more poppy. There's a lot of hooks, a lot of melodicism, very catchy. You've got, of course, the classic, the Wire lineup of Bruce Gilbert, Robert Gotobed, Graham Lewis, and Colin Newman. That they're all working here in brilliant sync and harmony with each other. Colin Newman, some of his vocal performances on this are some of my favourites. Love the first track on the album, which is Silk Skin Paws. Love that song. The Queen of and the King of is one that I really like as well. Almost quite a bit of like a kind of an absurdist sort of a feel to it, which I know was something that was very prominent in Wire's, I suppose, aesthetic and philosophy. You know, quite avant-garde in places, quite philosophical. Some of it's quite stream of consciousness as well, which leads me quite nicely onto my favourite track on the album, which is Kidney Bingos. Great title, beautiful pop song, very sort of skewed in its own way, but got a great melody. And it's just like lyrically, just so bizarre and so strange. It's fascinated me from the very first time I ever heard it. And I think that was on a compilation CD years ago that I got free with a magazine. It might have been like Mojo or Uncut or something like that. And that was when I first discovered Kidney Bingos. I already knew the earlier Wire stuff, but yeah, the lyrics don't seem to make sense. But I think within the world of Wire, or maybe on a deeper surface, it's probably got I suppose a level of depth to it that maybe I just don't understand or goes over my head. But the chorus to it is kidney. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. The chorus to Kidney Bingos is just simply money spines, paper lung, kidney bingos, organ fun. And the verses are just kind of comprised of these seemingly very unconnected words. Give you an example: natural splits, sunburn jets, pride marks, smart bets. So there's like a rhyming scheme to it, and there is, a kind of a rhythm at play, but they just seem to be words that have just been meshed together to more maybe for the sound of them than the actual meaning. But very compelling in that way, because it kind of gets you scratching your head thinking, what's that all about? And when you marry it to just a really beautiful pop tune, which Kidney Bingos has, then you've got a great song. You've got one that people can talk about and analyse and discuss. So yeah, if anyone's a fellow Kidney Bingos fan, then please do get involved in the comments. But yeah, this is really strong throughout this one. But I've already mentioned a few favourite tracks. So yeah, Silk Skin Paws, which one? Which yeah, Kidney Bingo's being my favourite, and yeah, the Queen of and the King of really good album that all the way through. Good 80s effort, that one from Wire. That was from 19, I think it was 88. That one. Let me double check. Yeah, 1988. That one. Brilliant stuff. Okay, so before I move on then to my next purchase, then I'm going to talk a little bit more about Milo at Never Mind the Brontës. So yeah, that was three of them there that I've picked up. So we're already halfway through the records for this video. So yeah, the reason I wanted to mention Milo was just because I had just had such a great time speaking to him. He was extremely helpful, very approachable. It was busy, as you can imagine. I did go. I mean, it's Haworth, so it's always busy. There's always people coming in and out, especially on Main Street. I think I went in there on a Saturday afternoon, and there was quite a lot of people in there, in the shop having a good old browse. But he made the time to talk to me, and I really valued that. Told him I was there on holiday for a week with my wife, and he gave me some brilliant recommendations as to what to do locally, and recommended a couple of places to eat, which I took him up on, and that was brilliant as well for evening meals. So yeah, he was just a really top bloke. But I got talking to him as well about his brilliant title, for the name of his shop, Never Mind the Brontës, of course being a callback to Never Mind the Bollocks by the Sex Pistols. And I also was really blown away by the logo, the design that Milo had come up with for the shop as well. So I was over the moon when I actually asked him, did he have any form of poster or anything that I could buy to, I suppose mark the occasion of going into his shop for the first time. And I was delighted when he told me that he did indeed do posters of his shop logo. So I want to show that now, because it's definitely worth showing. I've framed it. I've just not put it up on the wall yet. I'm still deciding where in the house I want to put it. So here is the official logo for Milo's shop. Never Mind the Brontës. So as you can see there, I believe that is Charlotte Bronte, author of Jane Eyre, amongst many others. And she has been given the Pistols treatment. So as you can see, that is clearly inspired by the artwork for God Save the Queen by the Pistols. So yeah, I just wanted to show that off, because I just think it's a genius name for a record shop. certainly one that's based in Bronte land, you know, to call it Never Mind the Brontës, because when you are in Haworth, as you can expect, it is Bronte dominated, of course it is, but you've got Milo there with his amazing record shop and brilliant logo. So yeah, I just thought that was really fun. So I was delighted to purchase a poster from him as well. And yeah, got it framed. Just need to put that up on the wall. So shout out to Milo, and I will definitely be returning to him when I'm next in Haworth. And I will not be leaving it 35 years next time before I go back. Okay, so that's that done. So at this stage of the video, as always, I'm halfway through what I'm showing today. I hope you've enjoyed what I've shown you so far in this little vinyl hunt that I had over in Yorkshire. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Sorry that my throat is cutting out a little bit today. I've been doing a lot of yakking, which won't surprise any of you, for work-related purposes. And then I've jumped on to doing this recording here because I wanted to get a recording done for this particular week. So apologies if I'm sounding a wee bit croaky. Okay, so after I'd had my experience at Never Mind the Brontës, I went a little further up Main Street and I discovered a brilliant bookshop at the top of Main Street. And that was run by a chap called Tony Venables. So really interesting guy. I had the opportunity to speak to him for a good while as well. He had some incredible books, really did. Had a really good time just having a look around the shop. But he also had some records there as well. So these next two were from Tony's shop, and then I'll be concluding the video today with one pick up from Hebden Bridge. Okay, so coming up next then, I was really pleased to find this one at Tony's shop because it is a record that I absolutely love. Just mentioned before there about the Wire album, that this is another album where I just love every track on it. I really do love the sequencing of it. Sounds very different to Wire, but it's got that consistency in common with the Wire album. It's also coincidentally as well from 1988. Didn't even realise that when I put them together, because I've just put these in order of the chronology in which I bought them from the shops on the holiday. So this one here, found it at a really good price, which was a nice discovery as well. So I used to have it on vinyl years and years ago. I sold it off a long time ago just because I needed a few quid at the time. I also had it on CD once upon a time as well, but I'd always told myself after I'd sold it that if I ever got the chance to buy it again, then I absolutely 100% would. So it was my lucky day when I went into Tony's shop. So coming up next then, a brilliant singer-songwriter album here from the late 80s, classic of its kind. Needs very little introduction or more for me to say than that. But we have got here Tracy Chapman by Tracy Chapman. So really happy to have this back in the collection, and I don't think I'll be parting with it again. I really don't. I kind of had a little bit of regret at the time when I got rid of it, but it was just a case of needs must back at the time. And you know, I knew at the time there was people, you know, there was someone interested in it who wanted to buy it and offered me a really fair price for it. So it was just one of those. But yeah, I feel very blessed to have it back. So just love the album, really do. So I'll talk about it a little bit now. Just show you the record itself, the inner sleeve, lovely shot there of Tracy smiling away. Because this is quite a heavy album in places. Well, you know, I'd say probably in a lot of places lyrically. There's a lot of themes in here. Very sort of social commentary rooted. It's folky. It's it sounds important. You know, it is an important album. It's beautifully produced. Some of the guitar work on it by Tracy Chapman is just really inspired and very memorable. Lyrically superb. Her voice is magnificent as well. So yeah, there's a lot here to be appreciative of with this record. So I'll just give you a chance there to see that. And this copy here is in really good condition as well. It's an original pressing, as you can see. Yeah, Tracy Chapman. It is one of those albums, you know, it's gone down in the annals of rock history, you know, music history, and quite rightly. It does deserve its plaudits. You know, this was a huge success critically, commercially for Tracy. So yeah, this really is a piece of work to be extremely proud of. So yeah, starts out brilliantly with talking about Revolution. Brilliant song that. Love the chord progression on it. I can't not mention, of course, Fast Car, which is, you know, the Tracy Chapman song. That guitar line is just classic. It really is. It's one of those you hear it and you think, yeah, wish I'd written that one. Just beautiful. It forms the part, it forms the heartbeat, the spine of the track, it's repeated all the way through the song pretty much. And then you've got Tracy singing over the top of it. Lyrics, I suppose, concerned with themes of, living a better life, wanting to escape, wanting to get out, feeling comfort in some way or looking for some form of comfort. So very powerful in that regard as well. What a great first side that is. Baby Can I Hold You is amazing as well. Great song. Great song, that one. Very pleading. But the one that I wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to was Behind the Wall, which is a cappella. So no accompaniment whatsoever musically from any instrumentation on that one. Very heavy thematically. I'll leave yourselves to look up, to research the theme of that. It's very self-explanatory from reading the lyrics, but incredibly powerful, and it is just Tracy's voice. Quite heartbreaking, really, that one when I listened to that. But I definitely wanted to give that one a shout out, just because with the positioning of it on the album, because it does come out after after a few songs, and then you've just got Tracy's voice. It just makes it all the more harder hitting, that one. And yeah, it's quite incredible what a story she can weave in such a short space of time within that track's duration. And the lyrics, very economically used lyrics. It just gets straight to the point, no messing about. This is the song, this is what it's about, and very powerful. So yeah, Behind the Wall, excellent song, that one. But yeah, all the way through For My Lover as well. Wow, yeah, on side two. Yeah, just honestly, please listen to that one. Superb all the way through. Great album. Classic record. Tracy Chapman by Tracy Chapman. Okay, so that was the first purchase from Tony Venables. Didn't get any books from him, but I did have a really good look around. He had some amazing stuff, and I just got very sidetracked by the records, as you'd expect. Okay, so coming up now then, think I might be quite safe in saying here that for a lot of people that tune into me regularly, I have ascertained that a lot of you are big fans of this artist. So I have got a really nice sort of build up of albums by this artist now. But straight up, just off the bat, I've not listened to this one yet, which I've been saving it basically because it's got such a big reputation from so many people that have told me about it. A lot of people have told me that they feel that it's the best record that she ever made. I'm not going to know that until I play it. There's a couple of hers that I absolutely love already. Whether it'll top that one for me remains to be seen. But yeah, the reason I've not played it yet is I'm just waiting for the right time. I've had a lot of other stuff going on to do with various things. I've had other albums to listen to. I've had work and other stuff going on. You all know how it is. It's just about fitting it in and making the time for it. But I will do it. And maybe when I've read all these comments after recording this video and putting it up on the channel, I won't be able to hold off any longer, and I'll just need to get it on the old turntable and give it a spin. Okay, so my second purchase from Tony is by Joni Mitchell, and the album is Hejira, which I do hope I'm pronouncing correctly. Now, Tony said to me when I was buying this from him, as I was exchanging, my money, and he was giving me the record, he said to me that this is one of his favourite ever albums, and he did definitely make a point of telling me that. He didn't tell me if it was his favourite Joni Mitchell album, but if he's saying it's one of his favourite ever albums, then I think that's a pretty glowing endorsement, isn't it? So, and this was a guy who certainly knew his music as well. So yeah, I have now got a copy of Hejira. So I do know that my dear friend Phil, who I've known for decades, will be over the moon. I'm sure that I finally got a copy of Hejira. Here you go, on Asylum Records. I think he's mentioned it to me quite a few times that I needed to get a copy of it. So yeah, as you can imagine, when I saw it there in the crate, ready to be picked up, I was pretty thrilled. As soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to get that one. So yeah, lovely condition, this copy. There we go. But I can't talk about it in any detail because I've not listened to it yet. So if you guys want to tell me what your favourite tracks are, which songs do I need to be listening out for, what are your favourites, what do you love about this album? Maybe some of you think it's maybe a bit overrated, I don't know. What's your favourite Joni Mitchell album? At the moment for me, I would say, Blue, of course. I absolutely adore, and I adore the Hissing of Summer Lawns as well. But this is the one that a lot of people are talking about or have told me about. Came out in 1976, so I'm really looking forward to giving Hejira a spin. Maybe if somebody wants to recommend a day in the week that I could put that one on. You know, is it a Sunday morning album? Is it a hangover album? Is it a Saturday night record? Has it got a little bit more energy and pop to it than maybe I'm expecting? Or is it, you know, one of these sort of come down type records? Let me know. But yeah, just letting you all know that I did pick up a copy of Hejira by Joni Mitchell whilst over in Yorkshire. Okay, so we have only got one more record to show, and then I'm all done and dusted for this video. So this one was purchased over in Hebden Bridge by from a lady called Catherine, really nice lady. So the way that this one worked out was it wasn't from a physical store, it wasn't from a shop in Hebden Bridge. I had been looking at some listings online on eBay, and I saw this album, which I've been after for pretty much forever. More on that in a moment. And I was looking particularly for traders and dealers in the local area for the week that I was going to be in Yorkshire. So just by chance, having a good old look through, I happened to find this record. She was based in Hebden Bridge, so we had a really nice correspondence, you know, through messaging, and then we agreed to meet each other on the day that I was going into Hebden Bridge, because that was dictated by the day that we had to go, or we chose to go and ride the steam train in Haworth, which was an amazing experience. So that was only running on certain days of the week that we were there. So I managed to work out a day to be in Hebden Bridge, worked it out with Catherine to meet on that day, and we did our exchange outside the town hall. So beautiful building, by the way, and I really enjoyed Hebden Bridge. Never been there before, but would definitely go back again. So this album here is really important to me because this group, this duo, I've talked about them so much on the channel now. People will already know who watch me quite a bit, who I'm going on about. This was where my musical journey started. So from being at a point where I was literally a baby back to the time when I can't even remember listening to this band. I mean, duo. I mean, I have memories of them later on, but the way my family tell it, I was pretty much listening to these from day one. So coming up next then, final record of the haul, or my hunt I should say, over in Yorkshire, we have got Wednesday Morning 3am by Simon and Garfunkel. So this was the only studio album of Simon and Garfunkel's that I was missing in my own collection here. I've now got all of the Simon and Garfunkel studio albums here at home, so I am over the moon to finally have a copy of this one. I know all the songs on it, they're all indelibly, you know, etched into my brain, into my heart, into my soul, but I just didn't have a copy of it. So I was so happy to be able to pick that one up in Hebden Bridge from Catherine. So thank you, Catherine, for making the time to come out to, because she lived in Hebden Bridge in the area, but thank you for coming over to meet me and to ensure that I was able to take this lovely album home with me. So produced by Tom Wilson. Just give you some factual information here. It's got the original version of The Sound of Silence on it as well, you know, the acoustic version, without all the electric, trying to think of the word, embellishments, electric embellishments that punctuate, you know, the re-recorded version for the Sound of Silence album. I'm not sure if that's the... Oh yes, it might be actually. Is that the original? Yeah, I think that is the original inner sleeve there, CBS sleeve. There we go. It's a lovely copy, this, really lovely copy. Trying to remember if it's mono or not. I think it might be mono as well, this one. Yeah, it's an English, it's UK pressing, this one. And yeah, what can you say about it? I mean, it's two people with an acoustic guitar, gorgeous harmonies, and exquisite lyrics. Right from the get-go, Paul Simon, what a lyricist. But Art Garfunkel, with that angelic voice of his, the way that it just meshes with Simon's beautiful voice as well so perfectly. Just listening to the pair of them singing together for me is all I need, really, most of the time. So Bleecker Street, absolutely adore Bleecker Street. Of course, I've already mentioned The Sound of Silence. Brilliant song. I love everything on here. Peggy O just makes me smile, just because it's got that gorgeous melody to it. And the rhyming throughout it is just inspired. Love Peggy O. There's a version on here of The Times They Are A-Changing as well, which is fantastic, the Bob Dylan track. and then it closes there with the title track Wednesday morning 3 a.m. So yeah, as you can imagine, I'm just really thrilled to bits to finally have that final piece of my Simon and Garfunkel vinyl collection puzzle finally done and dusted. There we go. So yeah, great memory there from Hebden Bridge, alongside, you know, just discovering the area in more detail. You know, had a bit of time over there. Lovely bus ride actually to Hebden Bridge from Haworth, and had some lunch there and looked around a few shops, and yeah, just brilliant stuff. So I managed to cram quite a lot into that holiday. You know, it wasn't just all about buying records. I did do the touristy stuff as well, and felt very rested and recuperated when I got back. But yeah, that was back in September. It's November now, so I'm going to have to go back again soon, and have another little break in Yorkshire. I got a lot of walking in as well, which was good. Okay, so enough waffling there from me. So I hope that you enjoyed the video that I've done today. I really enjoyed doing that. It was lovely to show them records off. It's been a long time coming, but I wanted to show them on the channel. So if you did like what I talked about today, and you wish to join me in taking refuge in records, if you're new to the Vinyl Sanctuary, then please do consider subscribing to the channel. I am continuing to grow. I'm currently, at the time of recording, at 475 subscribers, which I'm absolutely over the moon about. So a huge shout out to everybody who has stuck with me all this time, and for anybody who wishes to get on board with the journey, then many thanks to you as well. If you do subscribe, then please don't forget to click the notification bell, and that will give you all the alerts that you need as to when I've got new content landing. And if you did like my video today, then please do give it a thumbs up as well. That really helps and is certainly valued. And the only other thing to mention, as I always do, is please do get active in the comments. I love reading what people have to say. I love learning from people. I love getting into conversations about the stuff that I show on the channel. That's a big part of why I do what I do. And nothing pleases me more than to see other people in the comment section chatting with each other as well, and sharing their own opinions and thoughts on any given subject of what happens to be under the microscope. So we're all done. I'll try and be back again soon. Not sure when that will be at the moment. Just need to take a little bit of time out at the moment, but I'm going to be having to think about some other ideas, you know, before we get to the end of this year. Can't believe that we're already heading into December, which is pretty frightening. This year's gone by so quickly, but I will have a good old think about what I can do next, and then I've got some plans as well, you know, going into the new year. But I'll definitely be around before the year's out. You know, I'm not planning to go off the radar completely, but I'm just going to have a little think about some other ideas and some other bits and pieces that I can show that will hopefully be of interest to everybody taking the time to watch. So thank you very much for being here. Really appreciate it. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, bye for now.